What's up, Steelers Nation? Before we get into today's massive update, let me start with this. Your Pittsburgh Steelers are working every single day to improve, to correct the mistakes, to stay competitive, and to bring results worthy of this franchise's history. No matter how tough things look right now, the mission is the same. Get better, perform better, and finish strong. So before we dive into this breaking, emotional, and honestly concerning story, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button so this video reaches more members of Steelers Nation. Your support keeps this conversation going. Steelers Nation, if you want the official Steelers store, the link is in the description and the comment. Tons of new sideline gear and hoodies available. All right. Let's talk about what just happened, because it changes everything heading into the Ravens game. Steelers fans, this is the update none of us wanted today. Just as Pittsburgh enters a do-or-die Week 14 matchup against the Baltimore Ravens, a game that could swing the AFC North standings and the entire playoff race, the Steelers have been hit with another setback. T.J. Watt has appeared on the injury report. And not just limited, he was a non-participant in practice due to a toe injury. Yes, you heard that right. The superstar who has been the engine of this defense for nearly a decade is now dealing with a new ailment at the worst possible time. The early belief is that the injury occurred late in the loss to Buffalo, when tight end Dawson Knox accidentally stepped on Watt's foot during the fourth quarter. It looked harmless in real time, but now we're seeing just how impactful that moment may have been. For those wondering how concerning this should be, here's some important context. Watt has played at least 15 games in every season except one. The only exception was 2022 when he tore his pec and underwent knee surgery. He played all 17 games in both 2023 and 2024. And he has not missed a single game this season. The man is durable. He plays through pain. He rarely comes off the field. So seeing him listed as a DNP this week raised eyebrows across the entire fan base, and probably inside the facility as well. The Steelers need Watt on Sunday. They need him healthy. They need his leadership, his game-wrecking ability, and his presence. Without him, the entire identity of the defense changes. Right now, it's too early to know if Watt's status is truly in jeopardy. The next 2 days will tell us everything. If Watt returns to practice, even in a limited capacity, Pittsburgh will breathe a sigh of relief. But if he logs another DNP, the alarms will start blaring. The good news? There is zero indication that this is a long-term injury. No structural damage, no swelling concerns, more of a pain management issue. Through 12 games this season, after signing his massive 3-year, $123 million extension, Watt has been producing at a high level. 7 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 1 interception, 39 total pressures. Not a Defensive Player of the Year season, but still elite, still disruptive, still a pillar of this franchise. But here's the reality. Nick Herbig becomes the next man up. And here's the thing. Herbig has quietly been one of the most exciting young players on the roster. This season, 6.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, high motor, relentless pursuit, real impact in limited snaps. But Herbig played just 39 snaps last week due to Alex Highsmith's return from a pec injury. He would now be asked to step into Watt-level responsibilities in Baltimore against Lamar Jackson with the season hanging in the balance. That's a lot. The Steelers may also lean on rookie Jack Sawyer, though he saw only 8 defensive snaps via Buffalo, his lowest total since Week 8. Expect an expanded role, but not a full load. Bottom line, nobody replaces T.J. Watt. You can patch the edges, you can adjust the scheme, but you cannot replicate his impact. If he sits, Pittsburgh's playoff hopes take a serious hit. If the Watt injury wasn't enough for 1 week, we now shift to another issue bubbling inside the organization: Pat Freiermuth's shrinking role in the offense and his growing frustration. And Steelers Nation, this one hurts too. Freiermuth, once considered one of the top young tight ends in the NFL, has become almost invisible in 2025. His numbers tell the story: 26 catches, 398 yards, 4 touchdowns, only 4 targets in the last 3 games. That's not TE1 usage. That's a rotational tight end. And then came Sunday's game versus Buffalo. 17 total snaps, not a single target. For a player with his talent, his history, his chemistry with the offense, it felt strange. It felt intentional. And it felt like something deeper is happening. Speaking with the media this week, Freiermuth kept it honest. Quote, "Obviously, it's frustrating, but I have complete faith in Arthur Smith. I just need to understand my role, and hopefully it changes." End quote. That's a measured response, but it's clear the frustration is real. Let's be blunt. Nobody in this receiving group is thrilled right now. Outside of the 2 games against Cincinnati, the Steelers haven't thrown for over 220 yards since Week 6. No receiver has hit the 100-yard mark in nearly 2 months. The passing attack looks stuck, predictable, and lifeless. When the entire offense is struggling, it's impossible for individual receivers to thrive. But Freiermuth's situation is especially glaring because he's proven before that he can be a reliable, high-volume, game-changing tight end. Now, his opportunities have faded, and we're seeing the consequences. Here's the other side of the situation, the part that makes this even more complex. Darnell Washington is rising. Slowly, consistently, physically. He's becoming the type of tight end the coaching staff trusts. 66+% of offensive snaps in 4 of the last 5 games. Major improvement as a blocker, growing comfort as a pass catcher, a better fit for Pittsburgh's heavier offensive formations. Washington played 34 snaps versus Buffalo, doubling Freiermuth's workload. This isn't an accident. The staff is intentionally shifting towards a more physical, tight end-driven identity, and Washington fits that mold. Freiermuth, at least for now, seems to be the one losing ground. This isn't a permanent loss of role, but it is a signal. Arthur Smith is designing an offense where size, power, and block-first mentality lead the way. Washington checks those boxes. Freiermuth doesn't. At least not to the same degree.
Rodgers gives Pittsburgh experience in the short term, but everyone knows the truth. He's not the future. He's not the long-term plan. And that leaves the door wide open for somebody new. Bob Pompiani drops a bombshell prediction. This week, longtime Steelers media voice Bob Pompiani went on 93.7 The Fan and got hit with a simple question. Who's starting Week 1 for the Steelers in the 2026 NFL season? No hesitation, no overthinking, no dancing around the question. He said, Will Howard. That's where my money's going. And Steelers Nation, this matters. Pompiani doesn't just throw names around. He's plugged in. He talks to people in and outside the building. He's watched this team closer than almost anyone. Now, Pompiani didn't say Will Howard should be the starter. He didn't say he's a lock. What he said is that based on everything he knows and everything he's observed, Howard makes the most sense right now. Think about that. A 6th-round rookie, a developmental project, a quarterback with size, strength, mobility, and upside, but who needs refinement. And yet, given the state of the franchise, he might be the guy getting the keys to the offense in 2026. Why not Rodgers? Why not Mason Rudolph? Why not someone else? Let's break this down. Sure, there are rumors that Rodgers wants to keep playing, but at 42, coming off injuries, looking inconsistent, it's a long shot. And even if he did return, the Steelers may not want to run it back again. We know who he is. A professional, a bridge quarterback, but not the long-term leader who lifts a franchise, not the guy who changes your ceiling. The 2026 NFL Draft, a wild card. Yes, the 2026 Draft will be hosted in Pittsburgh, and that alone raises the possibility of the Steelers wanting to make a splash with a top quarterback pick. But we don't know their draft position. We don't know the class strength. We don't know if ownership wants another reset. Which brings us back to Will Howard, the long shot who might become the best bet. He's young, he's cheap, he's moldable, and he fits the modern prototype of what teams want. Big arm, athleticism, and the ability to create outside the pocket. Pompiani's confidence signals something much bigger. Insiders believe Pittsburgh wants to give Will Howard a real chance. Could Tomlin even be the coach by 2026? Here's where the story gets even spicier. There is already speculation circulating that Mike Tomlin could be out of Pittsburgh after the 2025 season if things continue trending downward. Some fans believe the franchise needs a fresh start. Some believe the accountability has disappeared. And some believe everything begins with the quarterback, and the Steelers haven't solved that in 4 years. If the team collapses or finishes mediocre again, ownership may finally decide to clean house, coaching staff included. And if that happens, a new coach might absolutely want a young, moldable quarterback like Howard to build around. As of now, here's the reality. Will Howard is the only quarterback on the roster who realistically fits the Steelers' long-term vision. Rodgers is temporary. Rudolph is a backup. Joe Flacco was never a real option. And the 2026 draft is a giant question mark. So yes, Howard is a long shot. But he's also the best bet we've got if we're talking future potential. He has the arm, he has the size, he has the physical traits you can't teach, and he has time. Time to learn, time to grow, time to build chemistry with his receivers. All right, Steelers fans, this is where I need to hear from you. First, TJ Watt's injury. How worried are you heading into the Ravens game? Should the Steelers play it safe or push him to suit up? Second, Pat Freiermuth's shrinking role. Do you think Arthur Smith is making the right call shifting toward Darnell Washington? Or is Freiermuth being underused in a struggling offense? Drop your thoughts in the comments, all of them. This fan base deserves to be heard. And before you head out, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a breaking Steelers update. This is your team, your news, your passion. Here we go, Steelers Nation.